Hello, I'm CW Chanter, and the magic machine tells me that I'm live. This is going to be yet another change in directions, a new type of video that we are going to see if people enjoy, if people like, and if people want me to do more of. And we have Jonaside first in the live chat. And of course, Jonaside is working. We have Chili Beans with us in the live chat as well. And though it's a new type of stream, the live chat is on. You can hear my tone of voice. I'm going to do my best to maintain this tone of voice and this cadence throughout the video. No matter what happens or what occurs. Will I be successful? We have yet to see. But it is my hope and desire that I am successful, because it is my hope and desire that this video is not only useful insofar as its contents are concerned, but that also the methodology in which I deliver it will be, in and of itself, useful to y'all. Long form content, the type of which I normatively make, is not in its heyday on YouTube, though it's been brought to my attention that it's my long form content that my core audience enjoys the most. Where long form content on YouTube seems to still be enjoying somewhat of an evergreen popularity, is where that content can also be useful to people when they want to relax, and also when they're going to sleep. So we are going to see if the one and only CW Chanter can deliver the information that CW Chanter wants to deliver in a consistent and mellow methodology, so that y'all can chill with me. I gotta tell you, folks, when I initially thought of this, I thought, not a problem. No problems, Gen Q. I see you. I recognize you from your avatar. And I recognize that you're telling me that I sound very relaxing. And that means that I'm doing a good job. Chili Beans also says, I'm already feeling more relaxed. That makes two of y'all. I gotta tell you, for me, myself personally, we say hello to Ara Kos Kratokram. Welcome to the proceedings, the relaxed proceedings, where you may be hearing a person who sounds totally mellow and relaxed. I got to tell you, because I am trying to sound mellow, calm, and relaxed, and because I've made it my mission statement to sound calm, mellow, and relaxed throughout the duration of what I hope will be somewhat of a lengthy video in my personal headspace, I feel somewhat like a monkey driver strapped into an experimental rocket car screaming down the alkali flats of the Springfield Badlands. Can you relate? We say hello to Tim Frey, wishing us a happy morning. How y'all doing this morning? Are you feeling mellow and relaxed? Let me take a drink of water. This seemed like the easiest thing in the world, right? Hey, CW, all you got to do, right, is get online and speak in a calm and mellow tone of voice and occasionally say hello to beautiful souls like Gerald M. Yates in a calm and relaxed way. What could be easier? And yet, if you're the one and only CW Chanter, holy hell box of dynamite, I gotta tell you, the minute you hit the go live button, and that's the agenda, your heart starts racing. I mean, I hope I'm not screwing up because this is supposed to be, right? You're supposed to be relaxing, maybe possibly going to sleep. I don't want to like jinx it, right? You're going to sleep, and then all of a sudden you're listening to a guy going, I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you in a calm tone of voice. However, I need to bring to your attention, I may be having a heart attack. Folks, I'm not having a heart attack. Everything's okay. I'm going to take you back with me to 1996, 30 years ago. We're going to reflect about how that time was just different. We're going to talk about how history may not repeat, but it rhymes. And I want to let you know that I'm not here with the agenda to convince you of anything. I'm not here to sell you on any idea or concept. I'm here to share ideas, food for thought, if you will. You may find some of the ideas and thoughts that I have about nostalgia, nostalgia loops, how the past influences the present. You may find some of those thoughts intriguing. You may find some of those ideas persuasive. You may not. And that's okay. As far as I'm concerned, in this moment. Speaking of things that are okay in this moment, Jilly Beans adds to the live chat, you can say anything in a calm tone. You could tell me I'm a hooker in this tone. Good to know. I'll save that one. We say hello to Golden Coin 100. And we have a note from a viewer saying, you sound relaxing, but in an ironic and slightly menacing way. Makes me more vigilant than chill. Okay, good to know. Not what I was going for, but good to know. Hey, folks, maybe this is a good enough time to say, if you find this content intriguing, if you find this content relaxing, or perhaps menacing in a good way, hey, right, creepypastas, they're a thing. Analog horror, well, it's digital horror, that's a thing, right? Um, Like, comment, and subscribe if this is, as the kids say, doing anything for you. Also, remember that we're also simultaneously streaming on Kick and Twitch. Got Golden Coin checking in on Twitch. We've got Mario Heat. I mean, we got Golden Coin, I think, on Twitch and Kick, and I think we got Mario Heat coming in on the old Twitch, reminding us that it's tickling his fancy. But then again, some like it hot. Starting in early January, I've been working with, he's back in the saddle again, folks. Calm, cool, collected. This tone of voice. It's been 11 minutes, you know? And I want you to go to sleep. I want you to be able to go to sleep. I don't want, like, and I'm really serious. And nope, I want you to know that this is, I'm not going to like punk. And I thought about this when I was preparing for this stream. I thought, I want to say at some point, hey, I know I've done it in the past, but don't worry. It's a go to sleep stream. It's a relaxed stream. It's a close your eyes and mellow out stream. It's, and I'm saying that I'm not going to, at 35 minutes in, at an hour in, all of a sudden going to go blah, 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 blah. You know, grab her by the pussy. You know what I mean? Dicks and ass. Dicks, pussy and ass. You know, cockstorm, cockstorm. Plan D is, gay for my booty. Plan D wants my ass. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do it. And then I thought to myself, if I make that announcement, if I make that statement, everyone is going to immediately have the thought or idea placed in their head. I want to chill out. I want to go to sleep. I want the soothing sounds of Chanter to lull me into that calm place. But forget about it now, because now I'm just waiting for it, right? Now I'm just lying here on the floor of my office, right? On this, barely an inch of carpet, on my scrunched up jacket, coat, desperately trying to sleep off the remainder of this headache before, HR or the boss comes knocking on my cubicle, trying to get some C's. And all I am waiting for is Cockstorm. He's going to do it. What's the timestamp on this video? 4 hours. I know it. At 3.5 hours in, he's gonna start screaming and yelling. Kalendel's gonna join the live chat. They're gonna start talking about Trump, and it's going to be the proverbial cockstorm. Folks, no. You can believe in me. We have Shaw 9431 saying, "Good to hear your voice again, old friend." Thank you. And I need to blow my nose. Hold on. To mute or to unmute? I opted for unmute. Audio verite as you relax and go to sleep. We're 15 minutes, we're almost 16 minutes in, and I haven't spoken about 1996, though I do see the viewership go up, go down. I would have sworn that Cockstorm would have been an audience grabber, but perchance it scared people away. I'm okay, Golden Coin 100. Don't worry. Don't worry about your friend Chanter. I'm here for you. You're here for me. Absolutely. I got a comment here. We Allahs, I'll take it. Feel safe with UCW. Don't worry. We have been through a lot together, right? Absolutely, we have. We have. I've been looking to 1996 since beginning in January, day by day, um, with the aid of my research friend, ChatGPT. Judge me. That's okay. Auto spell fucks us all in the end. Um, Unrelated, right? Artificial intelligence has been with us for a while, fucking us for a long time. Um, Trying to take a look, doing deep dive research on the days of January 1996 as they've been ticking along. And I've gotten a feel for just how different that time was. And so I wanted to start off by reminding you quickly about some things that were just fundamentally different before I go into the real kind of main story that I thought we could dive into, the main piece of nostalgia that we could dive into, which was a repeat episode of The X-Files that aired on January 19th, 1996. It was from, I believe it was originally from the first season of The X-Files, the first or second season. It was called The Host, and it was a Monster of the Week episode involving a creature called the Fluke Man. And the reason why we talk about this, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. There were some things that I thought had some kind of funny coincidences and similarities to today. Golden Coin 100. It's all happening in sync. Can't wait to hear the future told through 1996. This episode was interesting. There's some numerological synchronicities that we see present, but for us, for you and me, and for the current sitting president, there's some really interesting things in common. Number one, we know that Chris Carter uh, was the writer of the episode, Freemason. We know there's all those conspiracy theories, but we can also have an opportunity to revisit conspiracy land circa 1996 and remember how different conspiracy land was there and how different the world was. This is pre 9/11. This is pre the always on internet. Okay. and it was just a different world. We'll talk about the time that what was going on in the news, how different the world felt because of the lack of geopolitical pressures that were present in the United States. It just was a different time. But we'll take it step by step as best as I can, as I do my best to not get lost in the moment of retelling and thereby lose my calm cadence, lose the tone of voice, and thereby lose our utilitarian function of trying to get you calm, mellow, and off to wherever the fuck you want to be. Whether it just be chilling out and relaxing, not having to worry too much about what I'm saying, because you just got other things to think about and worry about, but you want enough of CW Chanter vibe to get that CW Chanter vibe pumping, and you don't want to listen to anything else because who wants to listen to anything else when you can listen to CW Chanter, right? Am I right, folks? Come on. Like, comment, and subscribe. You can dream about me because now you're asleep already. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm in your dreams. I'm in your dreams. CW Chanter, he's putting you to sleep. You love it. You love it. CW Chanter. Go to sleep, bitch. You love it. You love it. Go to sleep. X-Files. Look, man. Yeah, yeah. We'll go there. 1996, baby. Mellow out. It's cool. Don't worry. To the degree that I'm hypnotizing you, I'm doing it in a good way. Right? Come on. You can trust me. At the end of the day, the person that's going to rack up the most views on this relaxation video is my narcissistic ass, and we all fucking know it. It's all good, baby. It's all good. 1996 was just a different time. The internet was dial up. It wasn't always on. If you wanted something from the internet, you made a conscientious decision. You knew what you wanted to do. You had a specific task. You wanted to check your email. You wanted to check that chat room. You wanted to check that BBS server. And you went online, which wasn't always easy. It was somewhat of a rigmarole. And you did that specific task. And then you got up and got the fuck out of there. For most of us, the reason that you got up and got the fuck out of there was because the way you got onto the internet was through the telephone line that you shared with the rest of your family and or the rest of your household. In 1996, it wasn't yet the case that when you went to college, you had those fresh ISDN connections. Joel M. Yates giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up, baby. Appreciate it. It wasn't until like 1998, 99, 2000 that you were getting to your college campuses in the United States of America or England or Canada, France, Germany, I don't know about, and finding out that, oh, snap, your dorm room had those ISDN, always online, high speed internet connections. Oh, no, 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 no. In 1996, those bad boy connections were still in the computer labs, right? And if you wanted to get online in those computer labs, you had to talk to Doc McNerd, right? Why do you want to go online? Fill out this form, right? It'd be a very public situation, right? Forget that stuff. You want a dial up connection. Also, a lot of the news and information you were getting in hard copy magazines. Even if you were a goth, industrial, cyber oriented raver, right? Information was still coming out a lot in monthly or bi monthly magazines. And how were you getting your music? On physical media that was getting to you through physical distribution networks. Your ability to be cooler than schooler, right? Your ability to be hip and in the know was partially determined by your geographical placement in the world. If you were near a major metropolitan city like Chicago, San Francisco, New York, LA, London, Manchester, you could be up on the latest trends, fashion, music, etc. a lot easier than if you were out in the boonies or the sticks. Out in the boonies and the sticks, if there were no independent record stores, man, you could want to be as hip or cool as you wanted to, man, but hey, what they got at Sam Goody is what they got at Sam Goody. They can hate on you for thinking that industrial is stabbing westward, Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails, but man, the hindsight I know now, I'm not going to hate on those guys and sisters. And people don't go by Miss or Misters. Right? Bristol, Berlin, Gothenburg, right? If you were blessed to be near a location, a satellite location, you were blessed. And if you were in the middle of nowhere, baby, it was physical locations still, just 30 years ago. And there was no streaming services. You watched what was on when it was on, right? I've seen Beastmaster 15,000 times, not because I think Beastmaster is the greatest movie of all time, because you watched whatever was on, because there was no streaming service. My kids can't relate to the idea that, hey, man, yeah, you could think about it. Yeah, you could use your VCR to time shift to a degree, but actually programming a VCR is not an easy process. That's why nobody fucking did it except like the ultra nerds. Portishead, Tricky, Massive Attack, PJ Harvey, Introzoid, and Neubound. Good music then, absolutely. Got a shout out for Dead Can Dance too. Me and my friends knew The Simpsons were on Sunday at 8 o'clock, right? Or whatever it was. If you missed that episode of The Simpsons, if you weren't there at the TV screen when it was airing, you missed that damn episode. until it came back to until it aired again. I binge watched the season of this in 2 days. I binge watched the season. Nah, man, you want to watch a season of whatever? That season took that season long. And when that show got canceled, you didn't see that shit again until another 25 fucking years until the DVD came out or came onto a streaming service, right? And anime in 1996, Toonami on Cartoon Network or whatever didn't start until 1997. So there was Sailor Moon, there was Dragon Ball Z that was airing on TV, and everything else was VHS tapes that you get at Tower Records or Suncoast Video if there was a Suncoast Video or Tower Records near you. It was a different time. And politically and geopolitically and in the news, I think it's very hard for people today to relate to this time when I go back in my head and I go back and I'm going back with artificial intelligence to look and bring up and look at the Wikipedia articles and look at the news of that era because it almost seems like there's no news. Now, I want to be very careful because there were things going on in the world and there's always violence in the world, there's always war in the world. And so I don't want to be cavalier because those things like the crisis in Chechnya and the crisis that was going on still in Bosnia, those were real world events that had absolutely massive impact on the people that were there. But in America and in what we call like, the Western world, France, Germany, Canada, what have you, with the fall of the Soviet Union, there was this kind of pervasive feeling that the big deals had kind of stopped. And I remember at the time kind of being this kind of conspiracy theory oriented guy that you kind of almost had to work your energy up to get your blood boiling about things and to get scared about things like the FBI and the CIA and the machinations behind the scenes. We saw things like the conspiracy theories being laid out on the X-Files or even things like the JFK assassination, but it was almost like whoever was involved in the JFK assassination or whoever was involved in whatever happened at Area 51, it was like that stuff had happened. And the revelation of the truth was at some point had basically already happened in the sense that we knew that the liars in government were liars and the truth is out there and we all know the truth that they've lied about it and the aliens are real. JFK wasn't killed by, Oswald. And so what's the point? But with the loss of the great enemy in the USSR, it was like there were no big deals. Someone mentions Tiny Tim. I think 1996 may have been the year that we lost Tiny Tim. I'm not sure. I have to look. We didn't lose him by January, though, I don't think. So what happened in January, news-wise, and to the degree that it has elements that we can look to how it influences today. The crisis in Bosnia had recently wrapped to a degree. The Dayton Accords were in place, and the UN peacekeeping troops were there. In the news, to the degree that people were getting excited about anything geopolitically, and this has some ramifications for what's going on today, is China were doing military maneuvers in the Bering Straits near, I guess, Taiwan. right? And there was a big hubbub about that. But the check was already in the mail. People knew that there was going to be a transfer, of Taiwan to China, I think in the year 2000. So it was kind of this air of inevitability, but it was still this energy of we're reporting it. What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And there was this energy of, well, USSR may be gone, but let's not forget China, right? China. But still, if you look back to the reporting, again, it's like trying to get people excited about what China was doing. No one was really biting at the notion that as a populace, we should really be concerned about the machinations of China and the Bering Straits. And locally in the US, the big news was the federal government being at a long term standstill. There was a government shutdown that had been in effect for an extended period of time because the legislature, led by Newt Gingrich, couldn't reach a budget agreement with the executive branch being led by one Bill Clinton. If y'all remember, we recently came out of another government shutdown. Now, it didn't involve a direct conflict between the executive and the legislature, but in a similar way, it did involve a conflict over a budget and a government shutdown over a budget that the American populace universally and uniformly said, wait, the federal government is shut down over what? Explain this to us like we're two. Because the only thing that people understood about it was apparently the adults in government couldn't figure out how to split the bill after dinner, right? I mean, one moment, folks, please. Bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. You bore with me, and I thank you for saying. There you go. You bore with me. So I think that's what we're going to see as we move forward from January to February to March, looking at 1996. As I remember, we may see other things. There was also a blizzard in January of 1996 that shut down the East Coast for a while. But that happened around the 8th or the 9th, and then we came out of it. Wow. I got to tell you, you see these go to sleep things, and I know that a lot of them are done by, oh, I should have said that. I should have said this is like a go to sleep video, but I'm not an AI voice, though some of the content may have been created by with the aid of AI in the sense that I used AI to help gather some of the information and stuff that I talked about. Um, I'm not AI. and this is not an AI voice. I feel like that would be a selling point. I should put that in the description, not AI voiced, but free Leonard Peltier. There you go. He might be up now. Can I restart the stream? I can. Will I restart the stream? No. I'll give you a DSP impersonation, though. No. That's a bad DSP impersonation. You can do better. No. No. That'll kill some time, though. Right? Are you asleep yet? If I had a better vibe of whether people were asleep yet, I'd feel freer in being like, so what's in the news today? I'd be like, or now that people are asleep, I can just kill time. Okay, Mario. Now we'll spend the next 45 minutes practicing my DSP impersonations. No. No. Gerald M. Yates says Tennington was still rocking the Casbah. No. I kid. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Did I say something about the X-Files? On January 19th, 1996, it was a Friday. Jilly Bean says, I'm awake because working, but I'm in a calm state of mind. We need some rain sound in the background. I don't know if the extension cord will reach. Hold on one second. Bear with me, folks. This will kill some time. Hold on. Now, what we really don't want is for me to plug this into a power bar and have that plugging it in result in any sort of audio glitch. So let me. Okay, step number 1 worked. I was able to plug it in without causing a audio kerfuffle. Now, because I have this type of microphone on, let me see. It's a train. Got fireplace. Got bird song. If I can't hear me, can you hear? Can you hear anything? And if you can hear anything, tell me if it's too loud. It's distractingly loud for me. I have a feeling like this is going to throw me off. Birds were chirping. We have like the ocean now. There's an alternative seashore. I feel like this is Babbling Brook. Or like another seashore. This is a brook. We have Stephanie Jackson. Hello, CW. It's been a minute. Another brook. This is like rain on a tent or like rain on a metal roof. Yes, heard birds. Use it as white noise if you have to call or text. Okay. I'll put it down for a moment. Okay. It's going to be I'll turn lower. Watch like the white noise machine. People will be like, that's our white noise and copyright it. Um, 45 minutes. So, oh, geez. Okay. It's an endurance challenge. My God. And I thought this was going to be easy. So, it was a repeat episode. The host. Let me pull up the Wikipedia on the episode and go through it and kind of explain the different things that I thought kind of linked up and what I thought were interesting resonances with today. And I'll tell you that my understanding of the resonances changed over time. When I first became aware of the episode airing on the 19th, the transformation, the first transformation was I knew that January 19th, 1996 was a Friday. So when I began doing my research with the aid of AI, and it told me that an episode of The X-Files had aired that night, I called it. I said, I think you're mistaken because I always remember it as a canonical fact that The Simpsons and The X-Files went hand to hand together on Sunday night at Fox. Here's a resonance for you. Fox News was always the bastion of the conservative Republican Party in the United States. It wasn't like I or other people had to wait for the age of MAGA or the Tea Party or Donald Trump to know that Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch were arch political conservatives, and that Fox News as an institution was designed to be a mouthpiece of the quote unquote conservative agenda, and by default and de facto, a mouthpiece for the Republican Party in the United States of America. And I'm not here to debate or to argue or to fight. If you just want to hear that as one person's point of view, I have no problem. The content remains the content. And I think the utility of the content as a methodology of mellow return to the world of 1996 so an individual can relax, chill the fuck out, and go back with us to 1996 remains. I see you, Mario. If I could find a Greenland shirt, I'd wear it, you know? Hey, I'll get a jump on the 51st State of the Union. You know what I mean? Never been to Greenland, but I heard good things about it. Apparently, it's the place to be. You know what I mean? But my research brought me to a gnosis and understanding. The first couple of seasons, God, I hope not, Gerald. I'd hate to be lack of accord. When the X-Files started, it aired on Friday nights. It wasn't until the third season when it reached its started to become successful that it was married to The Simpsons on its regular Sunday time slot where, it's remained for the long the long the longevity of its length on television, and that's why most of us, even as hardcore fans, remember it as The Simpsons X Files, Simpsons X Files on Sunday night. But the fact remains that for the first two seasons, at least, it was airing on, I think, Friday night, and I think for some period of time, even on Thursday night. I may be mistaken on that. So you learn something new. The past, our memories of the past can become compressed. Variety and variance, a show aired for one period of time on one day and then on another day. But looking back 30 years in the past, if it only aired on one day for a short period of time, and for the majority of the time it aired on a classic block, you compress those memories down and you remember it always as having been on Sunday night with The Simpsons. Just the nature of the brain. So we break it apart. And that Friday, it was a repeat episode of a Monster of the Week episode called The Host. And there are very interesting things about this episode for me that have resonances with today. And while it's my desire to remain as open and neutral, non-preachy, and independent, so that the utility of the datum can reach as many people as possible, I can't help but see what I see, both in the past and in the present. And I have no desire to be disingenuous. The current president of the United States is absolutely a unique president of the United States who is behaving in an abstracted way from what we would expect based on what we were taught was presidential behavior and normative standards of decorum and naturalistic behaviors. I will be drawing parallels between him as an individual and the Fluke Man, the mutated monster of the week that was found by Fox Mulder and Dana Scully in a sewage plant underneath Newark, New Jersey, whose origin was drawn to a mutant freak who evolved from radioactive spillout coming from Chernobyl. I apologize if that in any way, shape, or form strikes anyone as immature, childish, or glib. I especially apologize if you've already gone to sleep as the result of my calm, cool cadence and method of delivery, but you are by nature or bent politically conservative and or a supporter of Donald Trump, and now either because you are approaching the REM stage of sleep or because of the fact that this information is now reaching you while you are in a suggestive space where It will be picked up by your brain and influence your REM sleep, that you will dream in some way contrary to what you would desire to dream. That your dream would be infected by, you know, a complete, commie liberal pinko Jew, half a fag, saying crap about, the guy you love in the White House. If I do appear in your dreams, I hope I appear as an avatar symbol of love. I hope that if these words do hit you while you are in REM, that they are weaved into your dream space as a organic back and forth interaction where you have space to voice feedback, have space to speak your contrary points of view, and let your will be voiced and heard. Hey, what more can I say? Mario Heath throws up and throws out for all of us as we have 11 people viewing. Not that he's doing it because we have 11 people viewing. Now we've got 12. Hey, circle of protection. If you know, you know. And that's most definitely what is up. Remember, in 1996, if I remember correctly, I don't know if the King Cobra had landed yet. He may have. If he had, he may have been like 2 years old or something. Like he would have been a babe. Right? We'll have to get a DOB on the King Cobra to make sure that we can, do his natal star chart or something. He most certainly was not of age. We know that much. We know the first couple of videos he made when he was of age was 2008. So he might have been born in like 1990. Hold on. I used to have it written down. Mario, do the research for me, baby. Come back. He died at 34. We know he did die at 34. So do the math. Okay, hold on. We'll do it like this. 1991. Take care, Jelly Beans. 1991, right? Which means in 1996, our boy would have been Cinco. Yo, so people gotta bang when they gotta bang. We got another person leaving. Gotta leave, you gotta leave when you gotta go. March 26, 1991. Okay. 1991. So our boy was not quite 5. He would have been just 4 then, right? His birthday wouldn't have come up yet, right? A magic number. We got 4. Let's go to this episode. Let's start deep diving on this episode, folks. We're an hour in, and we're finally getting to the episode. The host. Oop. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Watch this. Now, folks, a lot of this, again, remember, I am not here to convince you of anything. I am not here to make an argument. I am just here to present musings. with which you can make of it what you will. You may see shapes in the clouds. You may merely hear the musings of a madman. My only sincere hope is that no matter what it is to you, that what it is of utility to you. The utility, I presume, being that with which you can chill, relax, and or go to sleep to, because it is consistent, mellow, and moderate of tone, timbre, and delivery. I hope I'm doing my job correctly. I hope I'm doing all right. The host. Now remember, we're talking about the host, this episode of The X Files, because it again appeared as a repeat episode on January 19th, 1996, though it originally aired on September 23rd, 1994, 2 years earlier. Background information that may be pertinent to you, if only to understand your current host, C.W. Chanter. Magic numbers for me: 8, 11, 22. And by reduction, 4 and 2. Our boy Cobra was 4 years old at the time that we're currently looking at. The original air date of this episode was September 23rd, 1994. 23 is a number held in magical circles, certain magical circles, as being of import. If you know, you know. And as we've already said, that's most definitely what's up. Chris Carter, the founder of the X Files franchise and writer of this particular episode, is and has always been a Freemason. Freemasons are most certainly a magical group for whom the number 23 may be found to have had some significance, as well as the number 9. September was when it originally aired. The Host is the second episode of the second season of the science fiction television series, The X-Files, premiering on the Fox network. Why is it that Fox News, the most conservative network, is also married to the Fox channel that had Married with Children, but more importantly, The Simpsons and The X-Files on it? The Simpsons, the most standard-bearing, challenging TV show of the 90s, the most confrontational of cultural norms and Republican conservative value standards. But it was on Fox. And the X-Files that blatantly and openly brought to the surface every known conspiracy theory regarding the government. Why were these two shows on Fox, when Fox would be the people that we would probably expect to be the ones to suppress the type of information that was being promulgated by The Simpsons and The X-Files. I don't know, but I wonder. The show centers on FBI special agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, who work on cases linked to the paranormal called the X-Files, as we all know. They're assigned a case to investigate a body found in sewage after being reassigned to different sections. The inquiry results in the discovery of a bizarre, fluke-like man, the product of the Chernobyl disaster in Russia that soon goes on a rampage in the sewers of New Jersey. Remember, folks, the current president of the United States, one Donald J. Trump, has many economic ties to the great state of New Jersey. Atlantic City, not just Atlantic City. Folks, if you think he's got no connections to Newark, you are incorrectamundo. We hear about Trump Towers, but believe you me, there are many reasons why the term slumlord could be connected to Donald Trump as well. He doesn't put his name on every building he owns. And as far as the Chernobyl disaster is concerned, that would be connections to Russia. Also, in 1996, in January of 1996, one Vladimir Putin is not yet the Vladimir Putin we know, but he's becoming the Vladimir Putin that we will come to know. The conflict in Chechnya is kicking off. You know, the Russian conspiracy theorists, and there are many, believe that one of the things that brought Vladimir Putin to power was what went on in Chechnya. And one of the big things that happened in Chechnya was there was a schoolhouse where the Chechen rebels had, quote unquote, kidnapped and were holding hostage a bunch of children. Now, there are a whole bunch of theories and ideas about what happened during that tragedy and disaster that resulted in many, many deaths. Did it have to happen? You ever hear of LIHOP? Let it happen? Or MIHOP? Made it happen? We hear those terms in relation to our conspiracy theory of 9/11, but those terms exist in Russian conspiracy theory circles regarding Vladimir Putin's role in the Chechen schoolhouse disasters. Multiple. I don't know. I'm just saying what reminded me where my mind went as far as synchronicities and symbolism was concerned. Carter claimed to have been inspired to write the episode based on 3 incidences: his dog having worms, his research into Chernobyl, and the extinction of species during the 1990s. The host, the episode also introduced the character of X, the successor of Mulder's former syndicate informer, Deep Throat. Remember, folks, when we look at the 30-year nostalgia loop going back to 1996, remember the nostalgia loop goes back from 1996 to 1966. And the 25-year nostalgia loop brings it to 1970, whatever. There's a fluke room. Now, when I first heard about this episode, one of the connections that I drew was the notion that this fluke man, this mutated fluke man, wouldn't be able to reproduce. And I thought some of the synchronicity was a lesson for us to not worry about the current occupier of the White House because he's like a mutant. That is a special case. If you look at the political animal that is the current president of the United States, he's not your normal everyday Republican. He's not Bob Dole. He's not George W. Bush. He's not even Ronald Reagan. He goes back and forth between political parties, changing his political affiliation depending on whoever the current president is, in order to always maintain this oppositional character structure, to always appeal to the opposition class. He was a reality TV show host, making him always in the public eye in some way or another. This very manicured image of a successful businessman, despite the fact that he's not. There's no second order Donald Trump waiting in the wings. When Donald Trump dies, there's no next Donald Trump for us to worry about. It took 50 years to make Donald Trump. They can't just get another Donald Trump out of the vacuum pack. That's my belief. Now, belief is a feeling, and feelings aren't facts. I can't predict the future. I got to tell you that doing further research into the episode of The Host, the fluke man can reproduce asexually. But my drawing connections to the fluke man and Donald Trump is based on metaphor and analogy. Donald Trump can't reproduce asexually. Once he goes, he's gone. And Barron Trump and Ivanka notwithstanding, I don't think they are who he is. I don't think they're famous because they're Donald Trump's kin and offspring. And I think based on how we all feel, as the majority of Americans feel about Donald Trump at this point, I think their gooses are cooked politically. But memory is a fleeting thing. So people will forget. In a Newark sewer, a city sanitation worker, basically what ends up happening, let's see what's going on. I want to hit the main highlights. I don't want to bore you with minutia. But basically this fluke man, anthropomorphic fluke-like monster can feed upon human hosts and thereby spread fluke-like spawn to these individuals, reproducing. Also, even when bisected, cut in half, the fluke man apparently survives. So Scully concludes her investigation, hypothesizing that the creature was brought to the U.S. by a Russian freighter that was hauling salvage material from the Chernobyl disaster, and that the creature was created in a soup of radioactive sewage. Elsewhere in the drains beneath Newark, the fluke man's eyes remain open. Continuity. In the 2013 comic continuation of The X-Files called Season 10, a two-issue story, Hosts, continues the story almost 20 years later, 20-year nostalgia loop, after the events of this episode. According to the comics, the fluke man escaped to Martha's Vineyard and began to multiply, abducting multiple beachgoers. Martha's Vineyard, not Mar-a-Lago, but absolutely a bastion of the rich, famous, and where the elite go to meet, greet, and eat the petite. No, come on, hey. The Fluke Man and its offspring were nearly all killed, however, by a man revealed to be one of the Chernobyl liquidators, whoever they may be. In addition, the story expanded upon the Fluke Man's backstory, revealing that he was a liquidator named Gregory, who, after being locked in a sewage tanker truck at Chernobyl, gestated the mutated fluke worm that grew into the original Fluke Man after he was exposed to irradiated cooling water from the still burning nuclear reactor and to flatworms in the sewage tank. What are the connections? Mutation as a result of one nation's disaster, one nation getting involved in another nation's disaster, trying to help clean the things up, but connections between people that are supposed to be enemies, people that the people think are supposed to be enemies, but at the top are communicating, cooperating, corroborating on the basis of commercial self-interests, and the end result being that a mutant comes about that ends up being a principal harm and risk to the populace, and that can infect the populace as a parasitic agent, simultaneously feeding upon them and using them to spread itself and grow. Okay, there you go. There you go. Those premiered on Fox on September 23rd, 1994. I can't get away from that, the symbolism of that number. There's some people that like the symbolism of numbers, and there's some people that regard it purely as looking at shapes in the clouds. I have no problem with that at all. And there you go. What is there is there. What is not there is not there. And I've made the episode that I have made. And the episode is 1 hour and 18 minutes long. Long enough for one to go to sleep to? Maybe, if one puts it in a playlist, as I would most certainly do. But your behavior and your methodologies for sleep may vary and may be different. I sincerely hope that this episode was of use and of service to you. As a tag on at the tail, I'll also remind you that, well, maybe I'll save that for another episode. We'll be moving forward in time in this way. If you enjoy me moving forward in time in this way, the only way I will know is if you let me know. The comment section below is there for you to let me know. Giving this video a thumbs up is another great way for you to let me know if you like this video. You can subscribe for more content like this if you like more content like this. If I see an uptick in subscribers, I'll know that more people want more videos like this. I hope I've done my job in maintaining my cool, calm demeanor and timbre and tone throughout the duration of the video, and therefore the video in toto was a relaxing success. Only time will tell. As is my ongoing tradition on this channel, Knight of Pentacles, a tarot card for the community. Knight of Pentacles, heir of earth, going to work, getting the job done. We've got an idea. We put that idea into motion and we're making it happen. I think this is perfect for us. We have ideas, but you know what, folks? We've got ideas. You got to put that idea into motion. You got to get out there. You got to make the plans happen in the here and now. Looking back on 1996, one of the biggest things that I see is the fact that the lack of the always on internet meant that people lived their lives in the real world. Because you couldn't pick what you wanted to see at any given time on streaming, meant that oftentimes you either treated the TV signal like pure ambient noise, ignoring it while you did something totally else, or every once in a while you would do something crazy like turn the TV off. There was no YouTube giving you a constant option of like a la carte content, custom designed for your absolute particular niche interest. If you were into tabletop role playing games or collecting big booty, big busted female action figures, there was no audio visual content for you to consume at all. If you wanted to talk to someone about that shit, you had to go find another human being to actually go out and talk to them about that shit. Or like get a pen pal. Can you dig it? And when I look at this notion of time not repeating, but it rhyming, and I look at the number of people that are talking about, hey, you know what I'm doing in regards to social media? You know what I'm doing in regards to YouTube? I'm leaving. It kind of makes sense. People engage with stuff for a while, but after a while, anything you engage with for long periods of time, for extended periods of time, you're going to get burnt out on. And I think we may be reaching a point where the novelty of always on internet and constant interaction with people from around the world, but who we don't ever really get to know or interact with, may be kind of fading out. And we may be getting back to a period where we're ready to turn off the boxes and go back to real world third spaces where we meet real world, real people again. But I don't know. I have thoughts, I have beliefs, I have conjectures, and I have hopes. But what actually happens remains to be seen. I hope you stay tuned in for the journey as it unfolds. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see what happens together. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, someone just did. Possibly to you in your dreams. That's somebody's CW Chanter. Make of that what you will, because you will. This is how 1996 made CW. Today, it's got legs. Gerald M. Yates dreams of being a woman. Gerald M. Yates dreams of being a woman. Hashtag dream because it's true. I'm kidding. He dreams about being president of the United States. I dream about him being president of the United States, right? Couldn't get any worse. Can only get better. Remember, folks, like it or lump it, all the crazy rule changes that the Supreme Court put in for this dude are now going to be in place for whatever brown skinned man or woman is going to be the next president of the United States. Ooh, baby. That's what people don't get. Here's one last thought. I'm going to tell you something. Did you watch The Handmaid's Tale? I don't know if I can't remember if it was on Amazon or Netflix. If you watch The Handmaid's Tale, I'm going to tell you something. Watch it again. Because here's the deal. There are no brothers and there are no Latinos in The Handmaid's Tale. Well, there's two African American brothers. There's the chick's husband, who's a nerd. And then at some later point, they have one other guy who could actually be, maybe he lifted weights at one point. Okay. There are no Dominicans, there are no Puerto Ricans, there's no hate, there's no African American or Latino men in The Handmaid's Tale. I'm telling you. And why is that? Because if there were, you'd immediately say to yourself, oh yeah, that's right. There's no way that Ray finds his son and a bunch of other white, skinny nerds took over the continental United States with what, M16s and a couple of Uzis, as well as maintaining the Mexican border. Okay, folks? There's not going to be a hostile takeover of the United States of America by the federal by Donald Trump and his lackeys. Okay, we see what's happening with ICE. We see that we see that these people are trying to subpoena the Minnesota. This is gonna you're gonna see what's gonna end up happening. It's all gonna go up in smoke. Okay, there have been numerous special elections. No Republican has won any of them. The scariest thing for us, and I'm saying this as a liberal progressive, is the next 24 years of one party rule, potentially, because the Republican Party had went so bananas. But then again, I don't want to destroy my ASMR cadence at the end by going political. But food for thought, there may be something to my theory that Donald J. Trump is a mutant fluke man who only came to power because of an extreme overreaction to the fact that at one point in time, the United States of America elected its first brown skinned president. But I said it before and I'll say it again. Beliefs are like feelings. Feelings aren't facts. And I, like you, am strapped into this roller coaster ride. Stay cool, stay calm, live your life to the best of your ability, and don't let the bastards get you down. I saw the show. You're absolutely right. No, I get it. I get it. I get it. All points converge at the same time. It is what it is, and what it is will be. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens together, folks. I love you.